Hello, welcome to the course of Computer Network. So today we are going to discuss about the IPv4 addresses. So as in previous class we have discussed about what is IPv4 and we represent its address notation and the classes of IPv4. Next we are going to discuss about like the address authorities, subnet mask, subnetting and CIDR. So starting with the very first, let's discuss about the address authorities. So here the INA, that is Internet Assigned Number Authority, manages the IP addresses, and here it's further divided into 5 RIR, that is Regional Internet Registries, like RIPE NCC, that is Resuscix IP Europeans Network Coordination Center, that is in Europe. APNIC Asia Pacific Network Information Center is in Asia. AFRINIC, that is African Network Information Center in Africa. ARINIC American Registry for Internet Number in North America. And LAC NIC, that is Latin America Network Information Center, that is in Latin America. So these are the 5 RIRs in different regions in Europe, Asia, Africa, North America and Latin America. So here let's discuss how these authorities work. Like if a device want to connect to internet, then that device will request the ISP for the internet IP addresses. So here the ISPs are the internet service provider. As ISP gets the range of IP addresses from different RIR according to the location of the devices. Here the RIR gets the defined IP range from INA, that is Internet Assigned Number Authorities. So in this hierarchical form, the request goes on like a device request to ISP, which pass the request to particular RIR, and then the RIR forwards the request to the INA. So in this way, the device gets an IP address for the range, from the range of IP addresses. Next is the subnet mask. Here the subnet mask is a 32-bit number that divides the IP address into network address and the host address. Here it is used to determine to what subnet an IP address belongs to. Here the subnet mask is made by setting network bits to all ones and the host bit to all zeros. So here the subnet mask of different classes are: the class A subnet mask is like we are making the network bits 1 and the host bit 0. So here the class A subnet mask is 255.0.0.0, and here it is represented by /8 because first octet is only representing the 1 bit, so that's why it is represented as 8. Class B, here the two network first octet are representing the network bit and last two octets are representing the host bit. So it is represented as 255.255.0.0 and /16 because it is covering the two octet. Next is class C. Here it is represented as 255.255.255.0 and it is represented as /24 because it is representing the 3 octet as 1 or network bits. So this is a subnet mask, or we can also say that these are the classful addresses. Next is the subnetting. So here the subnetting is a process of dividing large network into the smaller network based upon the layer 3 IP address. Here a subnet is a logical subdivision of an IP network, and subnetting provides a method of allocating a part of host address space to the network addresses, which will generate a more network. So here the subnetting allows to add subnetworks without the need to acquire new IP addresses from the ISP. So here the benefit of subnettings are: it reduces the network traffic, it will provide the more security to the network, it will also reduce the network complexity. So let's discuss about this subnetting. So let's take an example like an ISP, that is Internet Service Provider, require 120 IP addresses to install a new network. So here there are 120 devices, so they want to install a new network. For that the ISP requests to APNIC for the IP addresses. So here APNIC provide an IP address, that is 193.172.16.0/24. So this is the class C address. So this is given by the APNIC. So here, as this is a class C address, we know that class C address will have 254 valid IP address in total. So here the network will require only 120 IP addresses, but AppNIC provide the 254 IP addresses, which will lead to the wastage of 134 IP addresses. So as the IP addresses are very costly, and to stop the wastage of IP addresses, a method is introduced known as subnetting. So here in subnetting, we have a class C address of 256 IP addresses. We divide these IP addresses as 256 is divided into two subnet of 128 and 128, and we can also divide it into the four subnet of 64, 64, 64 and 64. So here, like here, this is a subnet 1 and this one is a subnet 2. So as we require the 120 addresses only, we can use the subnet 1 to represent our first network or the new network. So this is known as the subnetting. For the another one network, we can use the subnet 2 for establishing another new network. So in this way, we can divide the IP addresses, and this method is known as subnetting. Next, we will discuss about the CIDR. So here the CIDR stands for classless interdomain routing, and it is a method for allocating IP addresses and routing in the network. So this is also similar to subnetting, but here in this what happened, the CIDR will use the classless interdomain routing protocol. Here CIDR is introduced in 1993 by Internet Engineering Task Force, and it replaced the previous classful address method to design a network in the internet. So here its goals was to reduce the rapid exertion of the IPv4 addresses. So here in CIDR, IP address consists of two groups of bits, the most significant bit and the least significant bits. In most significant bits, these are the network addresses or the network prefix, which identify a whole network or the subnet. Whereas in least significant bits are the host addresses, which specifies a particular interface of a host on that network. So here this division is used in CIDR to perform the subnetting, and CIDR is based upon the variable length subnet masking, that is VLSM technique. So here the VLSM is a process of dividing an IP address space into a subnet of different size without wasting IP addresses. So here we are not using the subnet that are defined earlier, like the /8, /16 and /24. Here the example of CIDR IP address is like 192.168.1.160/30. So here we are using this /30, that is the representation of classless interdomain routing, because this is not represented in the classful. Like classful addresses has the subnet mask of /8, /24 and /16. So here the VLSM allow various network or the subnet to have different subnet mask. So whenever the network address has a different subnet mask, that means they are using the CIDR subnetting technique to subnet the addresses. So this is all about IPv4 address. Thank you.